The creation of the clone army, a pivotal moment in the history of the galaxy, is a story that extends beyond the simplistic narrative of a force assembled to aid the Republic in its hour of need. The truth lies buried beneath layers of deceit, manipulation, and the ambitions of shadowy figures whose intentions shape the galaxy's destiny. To understand the true purpose of the clone army, one must delve deeply into the labyrinthine web of galactic politics, the shrouded motives of the Sith, and the nature of the clones themselves. The clone army was born in secrecy, commissioned under false pretenses by Jedi Master Sifo Dyas, who foresaw a great conflict that would engulf the galaxy. His vision, however, was manipulated. The Sith Lord Darth Sidious, operating under the guise of Senator Palpatine, capitalized on Sifo Dyas's foresight, orchestrating events to ensure that the army served his grand design. The clones were to be the engine of his rise to absolute power, their purpose far more sinister than merely defending the Republic. At its core, the creation of the clone army was a masterstroke of political and military strategy. The Republic, for centuries, had relied on diplomacy, trade agreements, and small defense forces to maintain order. It was a system that thrived in times of peace, but was woefully unprepared for large-scale conflict. Sidious understood this weakness and exploited it. By engineering the Clone Wars, he created a crisis that would necessitate the very existence of the clone army, justifying its deployment and consolidating power in the office of the Supreme Chancellor. The clones themselves were bred for obedience. Genetically modified to follow orders without question, they were the ideal tool for the Sith's ultimate plan. From their accelerated growth to their rigorous training on Kamino, every aspect of their existence was meticulously controlled. The Kaminoans, the enigmatic cloners hired to produce the army, viewed the clones as products rather than beings. They engineered the soldiers to be highly skilled and efficient, yet devoid of the individuality that might otherwise have made them unpredictable. However, the true purpose of the clone army extended far beyond the immediate need for a defense force. The clones were an instrument of transformation, intended to dismantle the Republic from within. As the Clone Wars raged, the galaxy became increasingly militarized. The Jedi, once peacekeepers, were thrust into roles as generals and warriors, distancing themselves from their original purpose. This shift was not incidental but calculated. Sidious sought to corrupt and weaken the Jedi, sowing seeds of doubt and mistrust among the galaxy's citizens. The Jedi's leadership in the war made them complicit in the conflict's destruction, tarnishing their image and leaving them vulnerable to the eventual coup. Order 66, the secret command embedded within the clones' programming, was the ultimate revelation of their purpose. With a single directive, the clones turned on their Jedi commanders, executing them without hesitation. This moment marked the culmination of Sidious's plan, not just to eliminate his greatest adversaries, but to ensure that the transition from Republic to Empire was seamless. The clones, once hailed as saviors, became the enforcers of a new regime. Yet, to view the clone army solely as pawns in a Sith plot is to overlook their complex role in galactic history. For many within the Republic, the clones were heroes. They fought with unparalleled skill and dedication, often forming deep bonds with the Jedi they served. These relationships added a layer of tragedy to the events of Order 66. The clones, despite their conditioning, were individuals in their own right, with unique personalities and experiences. This duality, being both instruments of tyranny and symbols of valor, underscores the multifaceted nature of their existence. Moreover, the Clone Wars served to highlight the fragile nature of galactic unity. The war revealed the deep-seated divisions and corruption within the Republic, which had been festering for years. The separatist movement, led by Count Dooku, was not merely a rebellion but a reflection of widespread discontent. Systems and sectors felt marginalized, their grievances ignored by a bloated and inefficient bureaucracy. The clone army, while ostensibly a force for unity, ultimately deepened these divides. The conflict it perpetuated destroyed worlds, displaced populations, and left scars that would linger for generations. In examining the true purpose of the clone army, one must also consider the philosophical implications of its existence. The ethical dilemma of cloning creating life solely for the purpose of warfare raises profound questions about the value of individual agency and the morality of sacrificing a few for the many. The Jedi, despite their initial reservations, accepted the army as a necessary evil. This compromise was a departure from their principles, reflecting the moral ambiguities that defined the war. The clones were both a testament to the Republic's desperation and a symbol of its moral decay. Sidious's plan, however, was not without risk. The clone army, while loyal and efficient, posed potential threats to his control. The presence of a genetically engineered force with advanced combat capabilities was a double-edged sword. Should the clones ever resist or question their programming, they could become a significant liability. This potential for rebellion, though largely unrealized during the Sith's reign, foreshadowed future conflicts in the galaxy. The inherent tension between control and autonomy within the clone ranks was a silent undercurrent throughout their service. As the war progressed, the clones began to develop a sense of identity and camaraderie. Units like the 501st and individuals such as Captain Rex and Commander Cody emerged as leaders, earning respect and admiration from their peers and Jedi alike. Their experiences on the battlefield forged a brotherhood that transcended their engineered purpose. This evolution was a testament to the resilience of individuality, even in the face of overwhelming control. It hinted at the possibility that, given time, the clones might have sought a destiny beyond the confines of their creation. The end of the Clone Wars and the rise of the Empire marked a turning point in the clones' story. With their purpose ostensibly fulfilled, they became enforcers of Imperial rule, a far cry from the defenders of freedom they were initially portrayed to be. This transition highlighted the ultimate betrayal of the Republic's ideals. The very army that had fought to preserve the Republic became the instrument of its destruction, a tragic irony that underscored the Sith's cunning and the Republic's hubris. The true purpose of the clone army, therefore, was multifaceted. It was a tool for the Sith to consolidate power, a catalyst for the transformation of the Republic, and a reflection of the galaxy's moral and ethical struggles. The clones themselves, caught in this web of manipulation, embodied the complex interplay of loyalty, identity, and control. Their legacy, marked by both heroism and tragedy, continues to resonate as a reminder of the perils of absolute power and the enduring struggle for freedom. The story of the clone army does not end with the rise of the Empire in many ways. That moment only begins to unravel the deeper layers of its purpose. The clones, though bred for unwavering loyalty, were not immune to the tides of change. As the galaxy transitioned from Republic to Empire, the clones were thrust into roles that contrasted starkly with their original mission. They were no longer defenders of democracy, but enforcers of tyranny, patrolling a galaxy now under the iron fist of the Sith. This shift serves as a critical turning point, not only in the clones' history, but in understanding the broader implications of their existence. The clones' transition into Imperial stormtroopers was not instantaneous, nor was it seamless. In the early days of the Empire, they remained a highly effective fighting force, tasked with quelling dissent and solidifying the Emperor's rule. Yet over time, the very traits that had made them invaluable, loyalty, discipline, and a sense of duty, posed a threat to the Empire's long-term control. The clones had been conditioned to serve the Republic and, by extension, its ideals. Even after executing Order 66, some retained a lingering sense of their original purpose. This inherent tension between their programming and the reality of their new role hinted at cracks in the seemingly unbreakable facade of their obedience. The gradual phasing out of the clones in favor of conscripted stormtroopers was a calculated move by the Empire. While the clones were exceptional soldiers, their advanced aging and the ethical cost of mass-producing sentient beings made them less sustainable in the long run. More importantly, the Empire sought to eliminate any vestiges of loyalty to the Old Republic. Conscripts, unlike clones, could be ideologically molded from a young age, instilling a blind loyalty to the Empire's cause without the burden of a conflicted history. This transition was emblematic of the Empire's broader strategy of erasing the past, reshaping the galaxy's memory to align with its vision of absolute control. However, the clones' legacy persisted, both in the minds of those who had fought alongside them and in the resistance movements that would later rise against the Empire. The rebellion, though not yet fully formed in the immediate aftermath of the Clone Wars, was deeply influenced by the moral and ethical failures of that conflict. The use of a cloned army was a stark reminder of how far the Republic had strayed from its principles, serving as a rallying point for those who sought to restore justice and liberty. On a more personal level, the clones themselves faced existential questions about their place in the galaxy. Those who managed to escape the Empire's grip, like Captain Rex and his compatriots, embarked on journeys of self-discovery, seeking purpose beyond the confines of their programming. Their struggles underscored a profound truth: the clones, despite their engineered origins, were as much a product of their choices and experiences as any natural-born individual. This realization added a layer of complexity to their narrative, highlighting the tension between predestination and free will. The clones' journey also served as a mirror to the broader galactic struggle. Just as they grappled with their identity and purpose, so too did the galaxy wrestle with its own transformation. The Clone Wars, far from being a mere military conflict, was a crucible that tested the moral fiber of its participants. It forced individuals, organizations, and entire systems to confront their values and make difficult choices. For the clones, this meant navigating the thin line between duty and conscience, often at great personal cost. The Sith's manipulation of the clone army was a masterclass in exploiting both individual and systemic vulnerabilities. By creating a conflict that necessitated their existence, Sidious ensured that the clones would be seen as indispensable, their actions legitimized by the exigencies of war. Yet this legitimacy was a facade, masking the deeper truth that the clones were pawns in a grander scheme. Their purpose was not to preserve the Republic, but to pave the way for its destruction and the rise of an empire that embodied everything the Republic claimed to oppose. The ultimate tragedy of the clone army lies in its dual legacy. On one hand, the clones were symbols of bravery and sacrifice, their exploits in the Clone Wars earning them a place in the annals of galactic history. On the other hand, they were instruments of oppression, their very existence a testament to the Republic's moral compromise and the Sith's insidious cunning. This duality reflects the broader dichotomy of the Clone Wars themselves, a conflict that promised peace but delivered tyranny. In the years following the war, the galaxy grappled with the consequences of the clones' existence. Veterans who had once fought under the Republic banner found themselves living in a galaxy that barely remembered their sacrifice. The Empire, in its quest to control the narrative, sought to erase the clones' contributions from public memory, casting them as relics of a bygone era. This erasure was not just a loss of history, but a deliberate act of dehumanization, stripping the clones of their agency and reducing them to mere tools in the service of power. Yet the clones' impact could not be entirely suppressed. Their actions, both heroic and tragic, continued to resonate in the hearts and minds of those who had witnessed the Clone Wars firsthand. The stories of their bravery inspired new generations, even as the lessons of their exploitation served as a cautionary tale. For the rebellion, the clones' legacy was a reminder of the cost of complacency and the importance of vigilance against tyranny. The clone story also raises fundamental questions about the nature of identity and the value of individual agency. Despite their shared origins, the clones were not monolithic. They developed unique personalities, formed bonds, and made choices that defined their paths. This individuality, though often overlooked, was a powerful testament to the resilience of the human spirit, even when that spirit was artificially created. It challenges the notion that destiny is solely a product of circumstance, suggesting instead that it is shaped by the interplay of choice and experience. In the end, the true purpose of the clone army was not merely to fight a war, but to serve as a catalyst for transformation. They were the means by which the Sith achieved their ultimate goal, but they were also a mirror reflecting the flaws and virtues of the galaxy they served. Their existence forced the galaxy to confront uncomfortable truths about power, morality, and the cost of survival. Through their story, we see not only the rise and fall of great powers, but the enduring struggle for freedom and identity in the face of oppression.